Hey everyone, I finished watching the next VR Troopers episode. I don't remember what the name of it is. What's the name of this one now? Who's King of the Mountain? That title's pretty freaking pointless. Uh, this episode starts off JB is emailing a friend of his, Jose, from Chile. They're talking about strange activity surrounding a nearby volcano, Mount Kronos. Carl Zichter, meanwhile, is spying on JB's communication. He sends a Scug to erase any information that may interfere with his operations there. He goes to virtual reality as Grimlord. We see him and Ivar discussing the building of something on the volcano. We still don't know what it is or what the goal is. Then, at the dojo, Brian and JB are researching the volcano on JB's computer. Meanwhile, Caitlin is looking up stuff on the volcano at the newspaper place. Percy comes over and tells her that he's planning on going to the volcano to investigate a story. Some hikers claim they were chased away by a bug monster. And Percy's finally back. And he's actually funny. This is one of his best episodes, actually. Which is kind of weird. This isn't a particularly good episode otherwise, but I mean, it's one of the best uses of Percy. So Caitlin asks him, "What are you going to do if you actually come across the bug monster?" And then Percy pulls out all these little things from his pockets, fly tape, and then one of them comes loose, and he's trying to put it back in. It gets stuck to his hand, and then another one gets loose. He's trying to put it back in. It's all stuck to him. They cut to Caitlin, and they cut back to Percy, and it's somehow wrapped all around his head and all around his body. He can't move his arms. Then he starts to fall, and then he's stuck to the wall. I can't get up. And then Caitlin leaves. Just leaves him there. It was pretty funny. I like it. That was a good usage of Percy. I mean, it's dumb, but I'll take it after a lot of nothing with Percy, or all these past episodes where he hasn't made a single appearance, coming back and there's a gag that's actually kind of funny. Cool. Back at the dojo, the troopers get a visit from someone. It's Jose, JB's friend that he was emailing earlier. Jose says that he's here to do some research, for the research. He wanted to correct some data that he sent to JB earlier, so they let him onto the computer, and then let's see, Jeb goes to Ryan and says there's something suspicious about this guy. And Ryan's like, you just worry too much. He's just new. And then Jose tells the troopers he saw someone messing with their motorcycles out front. So the troopers go out and they don't see anything. And then they realize, hey, if Jose sent an email this morning from Chile, there's no way he could have gotten here so quickly. And then Jeb sees Jose turn into a Scug. He pushes a chair over, knocking the Scug over. Ryan and JB come in just in time to see the Scug multiply. There's a big battle, and oddly, there's a lot more collateral damage than usual. Let's see. One Scug falls on a stand and completely flattens it. Another Scug goes through a table. Then there's a funny bit where one of the Scugs is slammed against the wall so hard the wall shakes. Huh. I always thought in Power Rangers Zeo, the juice bar, it expanded, and its expansion sure looked a lot like the dojo from VR Troopers. So I'm thinking a lot of the set from VR Troopers probably ended up in the Zeo juice bar. Interesting. And here it's starting to fall apart, it looks like. So then, let's see. The last Scug destroys JB's computer and teleports away. JB luckily had everything backed up, so no data was lost. Caitlin arrives and tells them what Percy told her about the monster up at the volcano. So together they go to Professor Hart's lab. Professor Hart suggests they create a virtual version of Mount Kronos to analyze. And here's a really weird bit. So JB creates the virtual Mount Kronos, but it's not just a computer thing. It's like actually a virtual world he can go into. Huh. Grimlord also can go into it. Or, well, he sends Ivar and the bad guys in it. This is a weird bit. I don't think they've ever had a scene where the troopers could create a new section of the virtual world themselves. And then also Grimlord could attack it. That's really weird. I guess the rules changed a little bit for this episode. So anyway, JB transforms and goes into the virtual Kronos. Ryan and Caitlin watch through the VR visors instead of going in with him because... JB falls through a hole to a cave, and he's attacked by some of Grimlord's monsters and Ivar. Ivar orders a cave-in. Ryan teleports JB out just in time. So then they go to check out the real volcano, and on the way they bump into Percy. And, Percy's scooter's busted, and he's trying to blow up air in one of the tires with his mouth. Which is kind of a funny, in a futile attempt way. So anyway, Percy says he was forced off the road by a monster, and the monster turned into a wheel and forced him off the road. And which is a neat little bit of foreshadowing, because the monster does transform later. The monster appears on a ledge and causes a rock slide that covers the trooper's car. Percy runs away, and the troopers split up to fight the monsters. They defeat the monsters, and Grimlord gives up, because of course he does. But the weird thing this time is I don't even know what he's giving up from. I don't know what his, goal was here. What was causing the activity from the volcano? What did it have to do at all with a volcano? I don't know. This is really a weird episode. Anyway, they all go back to the dojo, JB's fixing up his computer, and then someone new comes to visit. This girl walks in, and they're like, oh, hey, so what are you here for? And she says, oh, I'm Jose. I'm JB's email friend. And they're like, you're a girl? Oh, yeah, Jose's my nickname. It's short for Josefina. And so then her and JB go out to see the city, and this story is happy end. This is a pretty decent episode for VR Troopers. Percy's back, the fight scenes are handled well. Really, the only problem is there's no resolution. Whatever Ivar was building on the volcano is probably still there. This is definitely one of the oddest cases of Grimlord giving up, because all the troopers did was destroy a monster. Whatever Ivar was building is still there. So the troopers left, what's stopping him from just sending Ivar back to do something on the volcano? The whole setup of mysterious activity at the volcano made me think Grimlord was planning on erupting it, but, maybe it was. We never really find out what his motives are. He's just doing something with the volcano. The Skug that pretends to be Jose is a pretty advanced Skug. I generally wasn't sure what they were going for, because I didn't remember this episode very well. I've seen all of VR Troopers, but not in a couple of years, so I vaguely remembered some of this episode, and when the first Jose comes in, I honestly wasn't sure, is this the real Jose, or is this a Skug? They act weird, but it could just be this guy's awkward. He was talking to JB through an email thing, and they'd never met in person, and JB didn't even know what gender this guy was. Percy's bits work really well. He even gets to be the source of foreshadowing. Let's see, the scene when he's talking about his scooter was forced off the road by the monster transforming into a wheel. Later on, the monster does transform into a big ball. Okay. Actually, I think he said wheel. Now I can't remember. Whatever. One of the best, uses of Percy. He's not super annoying. He's actually funny. He serves a purpose to the plot a little bit. He gives Caitlin some information. He gives the troopers a little bit of information later. It doesn't really have that big of a payoff, but it's okay. It's definitely one of the better uses for him. Oh, I didn't actually finish my notes for this. There's just not really a whole lot more to talk about with this one. It's another basic episode. Oh, and I noticed the communicator things, they're not used, but Percy shows up. So I'm wondering, was there a connection between that? The reason why the last couple of episodes all had them use the communicators and Percy isn't there, was it because these were before Percy was introduced? Because, now he's back, and also they're back just not using the communicators. So I'm sure there must be some kind of, something connected to those communicators and Percy. There was some connection they had as to why those episodes were placed here instead of being really early on, because those past couple of episodes really felt like really early episodes. This one feels more like a standard episode. I'm not really sure why they would push it all the way to the end like this. This should have been an earlier episode. I don't know, whatever. Okay, episode, nothing much to say about it, so that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.